Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to tell you a story about some friends of mine down in Dallas, Texas. A really nice couple with, I think, 4 or 5 kids in the family. I think there was 5, 2 boys, 3 girls. And all these kids now are either in high school or in college or finished college. So they're all between the ages of like 16 and 25, 26, somewhere in there. But really nice family, have a lot going on, a lot on the ball, very athletic, very intellectual in their thinking and their drives and their passions about things. They're not into material things, more about the spirit of trying to create new things and to try to bring new concepts to the marketplace. That they're innovators. He's an inventor, and she's a homemaker and been raising these kids and doing a great job of it. They go to one of these ecumenical churches where there'll be 1,000 people or more, all the music and all like that. So they go to one of these super churches down there, and they're trying to put in the work, and they've tried to build their family around a strong moral compass. And they've been at this all throughout their marriage, I guess. I haven't seen them have issues with each other. They seem to be very stable and a loving and thoughtful couple, mostly looking out for each other and not so much their personal desires, things like that. So they're very generous with each other, and this makes them even more dynamic as they go about things. They're always thinking about each other. They're thinking about their children. They're thinking about who they as a family can help. So they're always trying to outreach, and it could be somebody on the neighborhood block. It could be somebody that they met from their church. It could be somebody they just read about in the newspaper, and they look at each other and say, somebody needs to do something. When are you going to start? And they just have this agreement. They're always into it, and I like them a lot. Well, a couple years ago, when all this COVID crap was going on, and the shutdowns were going on, and people were isolating themselves into these entrenched caves of ideas and ideology that was going on, 2 of their girls were in college, and they were very, very susceptible to the media and the messages that were coming out, the distractions, to try to pull people into an angry sentiment against somebody they've never had any involvement with, they've never met them, or they don't have any basis of understanding. They're students. But they all got inflamed against the Jewish situation going on in Israel and the anti-Semitism. And so it reached into their heads, and it's caused a bit of distraction and confusion in this family. Well, things got to be a little bit more advanced when one of the daughters brought a gentleman home with her, one of her friends, who didn't have any real place to go for Thanksgiving. And so out of her charity, she didn't bother asking the parents, but she brought her friend, and I'll just call him Abdul. He has a regular Arabic name, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to pin anybody. But I'll just call him Abdul. And so this daughter brought Abdul, this young man, for the Thanksgiving dinner. Nice charitable act. She's much like her parents and all like this. But it turns out that the young couple didn't stay long. They had a few bites to eat, and then they got up from the table, said they had another place to go, and thanks everybody, and left. And it was a week or so after that, the mother got an angry phone call from the daughter saying that her parents and the whole family was very inhospitable to her friend Abdul. And the mother asked why. And she says, well, you didn't have things that he could eat. Everything had sausage in it or shellfish or things like this. And the mother says, what are you talking about? Well, the stuffing had sausage in it or oysters. He can't eat that. And the mother says, well, he can't eat it or he won't eat it. She says, he can't eat it. He's Muslim. And the mother says, well, that's not our problem. And the daughter got upset. She says, well, it is if he's my friend. Then we have to do something different for him. The mother said, well, it's our home. It's our meal. It's our traditions. Maybe you should get him to understand some of these things that he needs to assimilate to when he goes into a stranger's home who's trying to be hospitable. The daughter didn't take that too well. And so she ended up bringing him to Christmas as well. And so he ended up coming to Christmas, and the parents had foreknowledge that he was going to be there. So what they did was they tried to prepare some hog-driven products, no pork products in there. They had it because that was their tradition, but they made alternatives. And so he had plain stuffing or dressing, with no meat of any kind in it, just vegetable. He had potatoes, he had sweet potatoes, had green beans. The green beans were a problem, I guess, because they put bacon flakes in it. So that became an issue. And they had a spiral ham, which is their tradition. They had the turkey, which is their tradition. But the young man was kind of sourpussy through the whole thing with the Christmas event because they had on their hors d'oeuvre table, they had a large tray of shrimp cocktail. And apparently his category of Muslims can't eat shellfish. But it was his opinion that having the shellfish out there with everything else contaminated everything. And so he couldn't eat any of these things. And he was felt like he was being set upon and being attacked for these things, for his beliefs. And it wasn't any of that. It was the parents were just putting out their holiday spread. And the daughter was bringing a guest of her choice. And she needed to know if there was an issue because she had grown up with these traditions all her life. So she knew what was about to be offered, these traditional family food choices, these traditions that they had. It wasn't their job to assimilate to him. They went overboard trying to help him with choices. Well, apparently he wasn't very settled with that and whatever, and gave the daughter a real earful on the way back to their campus or whatever it is they were living. I don't think they were living together, but who knows these days of these kids. So after that dinner, the Christmas dinner, everyone should be in this like nice holiday glow. The Santa Claus, the hot chocolate, the candy canes, the wrapping paper, all these things. The daughter called and delivered a rather lengthy monologue blasting the parents for their inconsideration. And the father quietly listened. And then at the end, he said, honey, he says, you're always welcome here. But any friends you bring here need to understand this is our home. This isn't their home. And they are welcome to try and share in all of the blessings that we are putting out there. But this is our home. These are our traditions. And we understand that he may have his own. He is welcome to put on his own traditions in his own home. And if he wants to invite us, we can go to that. And she goes, well, he doesn't have any money. You know that. And he says, well, there's a problem here then, isn't there? And it's not with us. And the daughter was upset about that. And so they didn't hear or see from this young man for about 6 months or so. They had a cooling off period. So the parents didn't know what was going on until last 4th of July weekend. They had an event there at the home. The father was doing some entertaining with his company. They had fireworks. They had, the food. They had, everything was going on. They had, it was an all-day affair that was going on. The people were out playing and having a great time. They have a wonderful property with a private pond, lake type of thing. You can't ski on it, but boy, it's a big place, about 80 acres. And so they had their 4th of July event, and the daughter brings this young man, Abdul, again. And so they thought everything was going great. He was getting involved with the kickball game, with the kids and things of this nature. So everything seemed to be fine until the food was served. And the young man was introduced to other people, other guests who were in line. And he ended up getting introduced to the Rabinowitz family. And the Rabinowitz family is a very, very close family to this other couple that I know. They do a lot of business together and things of that nature. And the Rabinowitz family, obviously Jewish. Maybe not obviously, but they're Jewish. Well, this young man was not happy about that. And he would not shake their hand. He would not extend himself to greet them and accept the generosity of their offer of a handshake. So the young man then, he looked at the offerings of food that were from the grill, and he was very upset that there were pork ribs and hot dogs. And he told them this. And the daughter says, why not? We got hamburgers. We got, other stuff over here for you too. Eat that. He says, no, it was all on the same grill. I can't eat any of that. And they got into a bit of a side discussion or whatever, and they ended up absent. They ended up taking off. And the parents were all like, oh, must have been the hot dogs. Might have been the ribs. The kid doesn't know what he's missing. So that was 4th of July. Well, the parents then, I believe about a month ago, got a lengthy letter from the daughter stating that she liked this guy and wanted to bring him to the Thanksgiving again, but wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be any ham or sausage or other foodstuffs like that on the table for the selections for the menu. The mother and father said, honey, our traditions mean a lot to us, and we will be glad to prepare other dishes for your friend Abdul and you to enjoy away from the table. We'll set you up with your own table, much like the kids' table. Well, that didn't go over so well, and she thought that was very antagonistic. And the father asked me, he says, well, what do you think I should do? I said, stick to your guns. You've done it all right so far. Just stick to your guns. And the daughter was upset, and apparently the young man was upset. And the father had a talk with his daughter. He had her come home, and he took her out for ice cream, a celebration of sorts, something that they'd always done, going out and having milkshakes together at some place. Well, in the midst of this milkshake, the daughter said, Daddy, you got to, change Mom's mind. We got to change the menu on this. This is important. And the father said, well, our traditions are important to us too. And we've been together longer than you've been here. And I hate to tell you this, honey, but we're not going to change just because you like a boy and want to bring him home and you think he's the it guy. And he might be. But if he was the real it guy, he would understand that in order to love you, he has to assimilate to the rest of the body, that being the family. And the daughter wasn't having that. And the father said, that's my last word on the subject. Either he changes his attitudes about things and accepts us for how we are. We're already trying to accept him for what he is and what his preferences are. but we're not going to change and give up ours for him. And the daughter really had to swallow that pill. Well, I got a note the other day, email from my friends, and they said, well, we will have one less seat at the Thanksgiving table this year. Would you like to take it? And I said, what happened? And he said, well, our daughter is breaking up with her boyfriend of these last few years, the one we've been talking about. I said, oh, your Abdul friend. They go, yeah. And I said, what was the last straw? And she says, I think it was a sausage stuffing. So I said, well, I love sausage stuffing. So if the offer is still open, I said, I'll be there. I said, but actually, I won't be there. I won't be able to get travel plans this fast, but in spirit, I'll be there. So, but this reminded me, this is so much like what's going on with the wave of the immigrant class that's come in to this country and what they did over in Great Britain, taking it over, swallowing it up, all the culture, shoving it out the door, saying that these things are offensive, trying to change all of the customs and traditions that have gone on in these countries and in our country. And so we have people coming across our borders now. They've been here for a little bit, and they want to declare that we need to change to help them assimilate, which they don't want to assimilate. They don't want to be Americans. They want to bring their culture, their flags, their traditions, their everything in and make the Americans who have these long-held traditions eliminate their choices of things. This isn't how assimilation and getting along goes. So I don't know what these young kids are drinking at school. I don't know what they're being taught. I think that any public school or institution that is doing training and education should have at least 2 cameras in the classroom. We can blur out faces. There's technology that'll do that. But I think what we need to do is have cameras in these classrooms so we know what's being said and put across to our young people and what our young people are saying back to our educators. Is, this sword of truth works both ways. So to have these cameras in these classrooms will add a great layer of protection for everybody involved. So the truth can't be stained with somebody's overlapping of facts, if you will. So as a tribute to my friends down in Texas, I remembered a song that my mother used to kind of sing and hum when we'd be driving in the car. It was a song from 1952, but here's a different version of it, but I think you might like this one. So here we go.
Gonna get along without you now. Gonna get along without you now. You told me I wouldn't need a thing. You even asked me to wear your ring. You ran around with every girl in town. You didn't even care if it got me down. Gonna get along without you now. Gonna get along without you now. Got along without you before I met you. Gonna get along without you now. Gonna find somebody that's twice as cute, 'cause I didn't like you anyhow. You told everybody that we were friends, but this is where our friendship ends. 'Cause all of a sudden you changed your tune. You haven't been around since way last June. Gonna get along without you now. Gonna get along without you now. So long, my honey. Goodbye, my dear. without you now. Uh-huh, gonna get along without you now. So long, my honey, goodbye, my dear.
That was kind of weak at the end. I think we can do a better one. But that was a song my mother used to always sing or hum as we'd be driving along, and the radio kind of gave out on its signal. What is going on with this guy? There we go. We're going to get along without you. And if you want to play with this man's daughter, you're going to have to change your thinking to get along with that daughter's parents. And this is how it has to go with our people coming into this country that want to bring their traditions and things like that. Great. But don't try to usurp or overthrow your host's welfare and good graces to give to you. So, in the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.